What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Today's episode, I have my favorite waiver wire ads for championship week. A little less waivers than normal, but I still have some that I think are worth adding, all below 59% rostered on Sleeper, absolute best place to play fantasy football. Have my fantasy playoff MVPs. I have some strength of schedule for this week. We will not be meeting later this week with the rest of the dudes. So I'll give you my top 10 favorite matchups by team at the end of the show, all bookmarked in the bottom, guys. So go check that out. Skip around if you want, or listen to the whole thing. If you're here, either going the championship or you're just maybe, you're related to me or you think it's funny. Appreciate you all for being here. It really helps a lot. It's been a good season. Appreciate all of you. Merry Christmas, if I forget, guys. Due to Christmas, we will not be having our matchup show. But huge props to De'Von Achane. I'll say his name right now. Huge props. You're sitting there, you need the extra fantasy points. You feel like you're going to have to wait for someone else. You might need, matchup help from someone else. I have De'Von Achane in 2 fantasy leagues. And you've kind of felt like a fish out of water. Then you see him break one loose, right? And he's running, and you're like, this guy might go all the way. You also think this guy might be like Westbrook a few years ago. Maybe this is 2011, 2009, somewhere in there. It's been a while. Aging myself here. And the guy slides on the 1-yard line, doesn't get the touchdown. Thank you, De'Von Achane, for scoring a touchdown, instead of running the clock out, and punching our ticket to at least get to look at the promised land. Can we say that? At least get a glimpse. So thank you, Achane. Thank you for that. And, even guys like Chuba Hubbard, it was overtime. He could maybe slid going for the field goal. You got to love the guys that punch it in for the game winners. Really means a lot, especially in playoffs when you need those extra points, especially when you got guys like Josh Allen. And speaking of Josh Allen, all the duds will also be in this episode bookmark, so go check that out. Biggest dud of the week, though, are the Browns benching America's quarterback, guys. This was a fantasy matchup that we all wanted. We all needed. Winston was on my waiver wire ad last week. He's on it every week because the guy just puts up numbers, right? This Bengals defense couldn't swat a fly at a dairy. And they put DTR in there. Absolute tanking, guys. And if you're not a Jerome Ford owner, then Jerome Ford owners are the only guys happy about the whole everything, right? But everyone else, we have a right to be mad, especially for what they did to Jerry Jeudy. Unacceptable. But let's keep going, guys. Just a couple complaints, things I thought I should say on the, just quick show notes, week recap. Dallas Cowboys, good win. I'm a Cowboys fan, as most of you know. But Rico Dowdle's been so good. He's had a great year. You decide to give Zeke Elliott, love the great player. He's washed. It is what it is. You give him 1 carry tonight, a 1-yard TD. Instead, Rico Dowdle has 6 full-point PPR fantasy points on the week. If you could add that other 6 to him, man, that's a good game. 12 points. That's something you can put your hat on. But when you give Zeke that 1-yard touchdown, you didn't even put him in for anything else the whole game. You just brought him into Vulture. And it worries me for next week that you're going to keep doing this. The guy literally gets 1 carry for a 1-yard TD. Give Rico a TD. Use Zeke on other short yardage. Come on. Other than that, Dallas, he probably should have lost just for, draft position maybe. But good to see a little life in there. Cooper Rush, he's kind of winning me over. Doesn't make mistakes. Plays good, gives CD the ball. Don't need much more than that. And also, just side note of stuff I've seen. A lot of people think that maybe Cooper Rush doesn't audible out of runs as much as Dak would do, and maybe that's why Rico's doing so good. Just a thought. Enough Cowboys talk. Sorry, guys. Sorry if you had to play Jonathan Taylor. Good chances, though. Even if you made it this far with Jonathan Taylor, he was probably on your bench. So, Jonathan Taylor, you have been a dud the whole entire year, and you're going to just mess with us to make us, people potentially draft you in the first 2 rounds again next year. So, waiver wire ads. Let's get to it, guys. First on my list here, guys, I got Bryce Young. I really like Bryce Young. You all know that I like Bryce Young. That's not news to anyone. But this matchup is just too good, guys. Playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bryce Young on Sleeper right now, his rostership is very, very low, guys. 14%. And he had 27 fantasy points in my league today versus the Cardinals, who are a pretty good matchup fantasy-wise. Bad matchup for quarterbacks. A pretty good defense, off and on. They've been inconsistent. 17 to 26, 158 yards, 3 TDs, 1 on the ground, 5 carries for 68 yards. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cooper Rush just scored 15 points on these guys. I really like Bryce Young this week. Do not blame you if you play him at all. I think it's a very good spot for Bryce Young to continue where he left off. Next on my list, I got Drake May. Patriots played well. Drake May looks good. He has had 2 straight games of 18 fantasy points. Playing the Chargers, tough matchup, right? Not the best matchup for a rookie quarterback. I don't hate it here, though. Like, the guy gets it done. The rushing yards really help. 6 carries for 30 yards. And that is all I have for quarterbacks that I'm willing to stream this week. And I haven't even dug in enough to see who I'm willing to stream those over. But give me a follow on X, the Fantasy Football Farmer, at tffdudes. And I'll give you more information on that stuff. Shoot some questions. Got the start sits coming. All that good stuff. Running backs. Hand it off over to the running backs, guys. And here's the thing with the running backs. I got a picture of Tajay Spears here on the computer. You can go over to YouTube at tffdudes, check it out. And this is all I can think about when I see Tajay Spears running the ball with that crazy Guardian cap on his head. I think of Toad from Mario Kart running around the track, Rainbow Road, whatever you want to say it. I think of Toad. And I think that's a very good image of him. If you want to come, give me a like, give me a sub on YouTube. Really helps me out. Give me a comment. Does it not make you think of Toad? I just see this little guy with a huge head running around. I cannot stop thinking of Toadstool. Tajay Spears, 57% rostered, traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Very good matchup. Do they finally, let this guy loose? I talked about last week how they all offseason said 1A versus 1B, was Pollard and Spears. I told a lot of people to start Pollard today. I liked the matchup. I thought it was a really good spot. Spears finds the end zone twice, though. Carried the ball 10 times, 27 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches. He's on fire, guys. 4 TDs in his past 2 games. And I believe most of this came late in the game as well. So with Mason Rudolph there, maybe they give Spears the ball a little bit more. I think we got to monitor the situation. I know Pollard was kind of banged up. We weren't exactly sure if he was going to play or not. But regardless, Pollard was held to 35 rushing yards. He didn't murder your team. He got 7 fantasy points. But I think we can't ignore Spears here. Let's monitor the situation, see how it goes. It is Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football just ended. Monday Night Football has not started yet, obviously. But I got Keandre Miller. This depends if Alvin Kamara plays, guys. If Alvin Kamara plays, I don't like Keandre Miller that much. But if he doesn't, I think Miller's worth the ad. So let's see how he does on Monday Night Football. And if he does really bad, let's just totally scratch this thing. But next week, Miller is playing versus the Las Vegas Raiders. So not a terrible matchup. And hey, maybe the Raiders might figure out that they should be tanking right now. Was that not the most obvious situation of teams just not I don't know. Sorry. It seemed crystal clear that both teams were trying to tank, and then the Raiders just forgot about it in the fourth quarter and decided to win that game. Oh, well. That's just win, baby. Next on the waiver wire ad here, I got wide receivers, guys. And wide receivers, guy was on the list again last week. I got Jalen McMillan, guys. He's playing really well. Baker's going to him. Baker's trusting him. They're giving him some handoffs even. The guy's on a TD streak. He did, lose that interception, in the game on Sunday Night Football. But Jalen McMillan is hotter than a pistol right now. Hotter than a musket. Hotter than a cannonball. Hotter than a... Sorry, I'll stop with the pirate memes. Jalen McMillan, Carolina Panthers, 49% rostered. Good spot. Mike Evans will bounce back this week, but Jalen McMillan, what's his stats here? He's just been, El Fuego here lately. Extends his TD streak. He has 5 TDs in the last 3 games. Good matchup to find his way in the end zone again as well this week. I like the spot here for McMillan, championship week. Last wide receiver, again, this is before Monday Night Football. I got Romeo Doubs. Looked really good against Seattle. Not sure how he looked against the Saints, but he's playing the Vikings next week. And I think I trust Dubs more than anyone else on the Packers right now. Maybe Watson's the other guy that, is like the number one. Dubs has looked good at times. Do you want to trust the Packers wide receivers? Let's see how this goes on Monday Night Football. And then I have tight ends, guys. Tank Dell. The injury was gruesome, guys. It was really bad. I think with the Tank Dell injury, we have to, add Dalton Schultz. He is 56% rostered. They are playing at Baltimore. You can absolutely dice Baltimore up through the air. This is a good spot for Dalton Schultz. Get a little bit of, that playoff loss revenge here maybe. I like Dalton Schultz here. 56% rostered. Next, Hunter Henry playing against the Chargers, his old team. Revenge game. I like that. So those are my 2 waiver wire ads. I got Dalton Schultz, Hunter Henry, Brenton Strange if you want to go back in the well with him. Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with the Raiders here, but Mac Jones might bounce back next week, okay? Hail Mary ads. Olamide Zaccheaus led the Washington in targets today and fantasy points. Playing Atlanta. Don't hate that one either. Also, quarterbacks. Hail Mary. Anthony Richardson at the New York Giants. I think he only threw 11 passes. It was mostly the Jonathan Taylor show. Maybe Richardson gets a rushing touchdown this week. We will see. Those are my 2 Hail Mary ads. All right. Duds of the week. Get these out of the way. Week 16 duds of the week. Jalen Hurts. I know you got hurt. Second series of the game. But that doesn't help us in playoffs for all the guys who started you. You were started on a lot of playoff teams. I got to do it to you. Sorry, Jalen Hurts. Brian Robinson, 2 fumbles. And I know you're getting a lot of hate on X. It's not from me. Sorry about that, but you are on the dud list. I might tag you on this. Don't get your feelings hurt. Then Patrick Taylor. Was on the waiver show last week. Thought the volume would be there. It just didn't look good. Dolphins are tough. Probably didn't help that the 49ers got eliminated from playoffs before the game started. Maybe that messed with them a little bit too. But Patrick Taylor, he's got to scrape the plate right now. Pretty sure we got the best we could get out of him there. Just wasn't there. And, you're missing your left tackle. Doesn't help, right? Dolphins are tough. Second week in a row, Cooper Kupp. I don't know if I can play Cooper Kupp in playoffs. It's that bad. He has maybe some weather factors in this game. But Cooper Kupp, how are we feeling about Cooper Kupp next week? It doesn't feel good at the moment. I will say that. It's been tough. Maybe you didn't survive last week after the goose egg. This week, who the Rams got this week? Cooper Kupp will be facing off against... Yeah, he only had 3 passes this week. Arizona Cardinals, they're eliminated from playoffs. Rams are playing real good football right now. Unfortunately, it's without Cooper Kupp. So... not sure if I feel like I have to play him in that Cardinals matchup, but I just don't know if I can handle Cooper Kupp being on my bench. All right. Khalil Shakir, 3.2 fantasy points. The guy, catches everything. Was not the case on Sunday. Really bad. Mac Hollins led the team in fantasy points with 3.5 fantasy points. Khalil Shakir had 3.2. Rough day for Buffalo. They did get the win. Even rougher day for the wide receivers. Thrown over to Marvin Harrison in the flex, 5.9 fantasy points. It's been a train wreck. Roller coaster. That's mostly going down. Be nice if we had a couple loops or something every once in a while. Then Trey McBride, 3.5 fantasy points. Ouch. Those are my duds of the week, guys. Tell me what you think. And then let's throw this over, doing a little different here, okay? Give you my Week 17 top matchups by position, guys. So I'm going to start with quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Not going to do tight ends, guys, but I will have all my matchups here, guys, of top 10. And these are actually just, statistically, like, this isn't my opinion. This is, there's numbers behind this. So Week 17 strength of schedule for quarterbacks, guys. I'll give you the top 10. I'll give you the bottom 10. So hopefully that helps. Do what you want with this. Number 1. Should we go with 10 or should we go 1? We'll go with 1. Best quarterback matchup for Week 17. Tennessee Titans playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are giving up 20.54 fantasy points per game. Do you want to play Rudolph? It is Christmas time. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Maybe. I don't know. 2, I have Denver Broncos. Bo Nix taking on Joe Burrow. Bengals defense is giving up 20.2 fantasy points to the quarterback position. 3 on the list. He was a waiver wire ad here. We got the Panthers. Bryce Young taking on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers right now are giving up. Where are we at here? Losing my spot here all over the place. Sorry. Panthers were 3. Eagles are 4. Playing Dallas. Dallas is giving up 19 fantasy points per game. Then Texans at 5. Oh, I got a little excited about Bryce Young. I'm sorry, guys. At 5 here, Texans taking on the Ravens, giving up 19.1 fantasy points per game. Do we finally get that CJ Stroud boom game? I don't know. He doesn't have Tank Dell. He still has Nico Collins, though. This Texans wide receiver. Remember we were all like just worried all offseason about just who was going to be the guy in Houston. Now it's just who's going to be the guy that's healthy. Another Hail Mary ad. Mechie, Texans. Let's see what we can do. Is he even healthy? Let me make sure that we got Mechie for sure while I'm here. I don't want to give you a guy and you guys be like, hey, he's hurt, man. So John Mechie. No, he's hurt, guys. He didn't play today. Let's monitor that. Sorry, Robert Woods is a flyer. Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie. I think Woods is the safest guy right here. Let's just keep an ad on that depth chart, see who the next man up is there. But is for sure Dalton Schultz is someone I like and trust there. All right, next on the list here, Tampa Bay Buccaneers giving up 19. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Panthers. Panthers are giving 18.2 fantasy points per game. 7th best quarterback matchup is we got the Washington Commanders taking on the Falcons. The Falcons give up 17.6 fantasy points per game. Kyler Murray, do you trust him? I don't. Taking on the Rams, 17.4 points per game they're allowing to quarterbacks. So a good spot for Kyler Murray. Do you want to do it? I don't. Next on the list, Anthony Richardson. The Colts are playing the New York Giants, who are the 9th best fantasy defense to opposing quarterbacks, giving up 17.2 fantasy points per game. That, and then New Orleans Saints are the 10th best. I need to see more out of Rattler, but they're playing the Raiders. Is Carr coming back? I doubt Carr's coming back, so if you want to do that. Bottom 10, guys. I'm not going to read you numbers. Worst matchups for opposing quarterbacks. Browns giving up 12 fantasy points. Seahawks giving up 13 fantasy points. Cowboys giving 13 fantasy points. Lions giving up 14 fantasy points. Chiefs giving up 14 fantasy points. Taking on the Steelers. Vikings giving up 14-4, playing the Packers. And then Packers playing the Vikings, giving up 14-8-2. I believe that was 10 there. So let's go over to the running backs here, guys. Don't want to drag this out too long. And then fantasy MVPs, guys. I'm going to say for quarterbacks, for fantasy playoffs, it's between 4 guys for me. Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, and, he had a bad game today, but I'm going to say Josh Allen because Josh Allen has a good matchup this week for, maybe it's just better. I don't know what happened. They had a big win last week. Maybe this week they just, weren't quite ready for the Patriots like we were wanting them to. But Josh Allen had a rough week. But Daniels has been on fire, and Daniels has another good matchup this week taking on the Falcons. And then Jared Goff, they're playing the 49ers. Gamble might score 100 points on the 49ers after what happened in playoffs last year. I like Goff here, okay? Baker, Panthers. We got a little bit of a revenge game here. Like, Tepper should be worried about this, right? Bucks are playing the Panthers, but they play all every year, so maybe it's not that good to say revenge game narrative there. Running back strength of schedule here. Let's hop over there, guys. Top 10 here. I'll go through this faster, I promise. Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing the Panthers. That's the best matchup. Panthers are giving up 26.4 fantasy points per game to the running back position. All those Tampa running backs. Man, did Bucky look good against Dallas. Jets playing the Bills, second best matchup. Titans, Tajay Spears playing the Jaguars. 4th, Colts, getting their Jonathan Taylor game versus the New York Giants. 5th, Seattle Seahawks going, traveling to Chicago. 6, Giants hosting the Colts. 7, Rams taking on the Cardinals. 8, Eagles going to play Dallas. Saquon Barkley, if we don't have Hurts, this could be a really good matchup if you got past, the blunder last week. And then Chargers traveling to play New England. Bears, 10th best matchup, playing Seattle. Bottom 10 here. We got Steelers, Packers, Cowboys, Ravens, 49ers, Dolphins, Texans, Bills, Chiefs, Commanders, Patriots. Those are the defenses you kind of want to avoid. Start your studs, though, of course. Fantasy MVPs here, guys, at the running back position for me. 4 playoffs. I think we got to go James Cook. Guy's been playing really good, and he's not getting the ball that much. Went off today versus the Patriots. Had a great game against the Lions last week as well. Jahmyr Gibbs. No David Montgomery. Going to feed families. Okay, looks good. 49ers, they gave up some big plays to Achane and the Dolphins. But Gibbs, and speaking of Gibbs, went and saw Sonic 3 this weekend. And man, like the bond of Knuckles and Sonic, it just makes you feel a little sad there. For that reason, I kept Montgomery on my team in the championship. Put him in the, IR slot. That guy deserves a ring. He's done a lot for my team. Go see Sonic 3. Bijan Robinson with the Penix move. This guy could eat. And then Josh Jacobs. Obviously, Monday Night Football hasn't happened yet. Wide receiver matchups, we'll get through this faster here. Like I said last time, go a little quicker. Week 17 matchups for wide receivers. Raiders have the best matchup playing the Jaguars. Packers playing against the Vikings. Titans playing against the Jaguars. Giants, 4th best matchup, Indianapolis. I kind of like Wan'Dale Robinson is another sleeper, Hail Mary play. Guy's getting a lot of targets. Washington Commanders with the 5th best matchup playing the Falcons. Bears, 6th best matchup playing the Seahawks. Panthers, 7th best matchup going to Tampa Bay for wide receivers. Bucks at 8 hosting the Panthers. Falcons at 9 traveling to Washington, but we got Penix there. 10, Vikings. Vikings and with Darnold. Here's what I'll say about Sam Darnold. I hope he stays in Minnesota, right? I think he looks good. He's played well. They just win games. Doesn't lose games. Good landing spot for him if the Vikings, want to go to McCarthy, which I think at this point you got to say that's kind of crazy, but Sam Darnold with the Seahawks. Be amazing. Okay? Phil's not here to talk about this for another hour. I think that's a good spot for him, guys. All right. Bottom 10 worst matchups for wide receivers. So Jaguars playing the Titans. Rams playing the Cardinals. Dolphins playing the Browns. Saints playing the Raiders. 49ers at 28 playing Detroit. Cardinals playing the Rams. Bengals playing Denver. Cowboys playing Eagles. Texans playing Baltimore. So Colts playing New York Giants, and then Chargers playing at New England. There's their matchups here. There's your bottom 10. Guys, let me know what you think about this episode. You like me breaking down, a couple stories like that? Felt like there wasn't as much, like we didn't need to dig super deep in waivers. There shouldn't be a ton of guys, plummeting the waiver wire, I will say. So maybe it'll be a little easier to get some of that stuff. Didn't think I need to go as deep. We'll have some stuff on X, though. Give me a follow there at tffdudes. Get all the other stuff. Let me know if you like this strength of schedule stuff. And fantasy season, thanks you all for, tuning in. It really means a lot to us. Have a Merry Christmas. Spend time with your family. Remember the main reason for the season, guys. And then we'll have fantasy stuff coming still. We'll still be breaking down some NFL games, yucking it up with the dudes. You know how it goes. Anyways, guys. See you next week. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. See you next time. And as always, guys, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.